Well, as Julianne said, it's been a long 2.5 weeks as new county administrator. Before I get started though, I'd like to make a couple of introductions myself if I could. I'd like to thank my wife Julie for being here tonight. And also my brother Roger, who is the Clay County property appraiser and has been in that office for 27 years and his third term as property appraiser. Thank you for being here. Julianne, can I move this a little bit?
Of course you can.
Okay. Let me know if you're having a hard time hearing me and I'll move it around. When I got the call to come and speak tonight, it was an absolute privilege and a pleasure to do so. Unfortunately, it was before the hurricanes hit and we ended up having to postpone the last meeting, and since we got started, all I've done is hurricane work. So bear with me tonight. I'll do the best I can on the presentation, and we'll do a lot of question and answers afterwards. My history, Julianne gave the background of where I come from. I got about 25 years in public service. I started working in the property appraiser office myself, and then I did a 2.5-year stint in the Department of Corrections. Then I left and went to Alachua County for 14 years, and then got into the city county management business when I finished my degree. That was the path I chose. It has given me an opportunity to learn, if you would, from the very foundation of an organization to being able now to lead an organization. So it gives me a little different perspective, and it's one I think works well for me, and it works well for my staff, and it also works well for the community, because I understand when someone calls the office with a need, what our response needs to be, and how we need to respond to it. Oh, Commissioner Goddard, good to see you tonight, sir. But, just one short year ago, we had Hurricane Matthew come through. And I was working with the city of Palatka, the city manager, when Hurricane Matthew came through. And from what I understand from the county, it was a little over $2.5 million of damage to Putnam County at that time. We left Hurricane Matthew and went to what was known at the time probably one of our worst droughts in Putnam County. If memory serves me correctly, we went into a burn ban. We hadn't had any rain from February to about June. I put a burn ban in the city of Palatka and shut down the fireworks for the Memorial Day for Blue Crab. Now just a couple, 3 months later, worst flooding we've seen in years. Okay, I mean we've ran the gamut. And I was talking to my public works folks today and my solid waste folks today. We're looking at probably about $4 to $5 million of damage in Putnam County from Hurricane Irma. So it's going to be quite a task to overcome, not only with the amount of work that's required to get our community back up and running, get it back where it needs to be, but also financially. When you're already financially strapped as we are here in Putnam County, it just makes it that more critical to make sure that we do the things we're supposed to do and do them as best we can and be as fiscally conservative as we can. When I took over the city of Palatka 2.5 years ago, we were concerned because our reserves were at 8% of a $9 million budget. Today, we're at 3.6% of a $47 million budget in Putnam County. We really have some hard work ahead of us. We've got 5 elected officials, one of them here tonight, that absolutely understand what it is that we need to do, understand that a plan's got to be put in place to fix it, and they're willing and ready to get to work and do it. And that's the biggest thing, is we've got to put a plan in place. So how do you do that? What are some of the things that we're going to have to incorporate in order to make this thing work? Well, we're going to do what we've always done. We've got to reach out for economic development and work hard to get some property in Putnam County shovel ready so we can entice folks that want to come to Putnam County. One of the things I said during the interview process is we need to work on creating, not reproducing or replicating what the chamber does, but a mindset within the county office as well of economic development, where we go out and entice folks to come to Putnam County, share why they need to come to Putnam County, and then assist them through the process from start to finish, from permitting to completion. I think we need to do that. That's something we are missing. I think that's something we can capitalize on. Okay. Some other things we need to do is we got to figure out a way to lower our millage rate. Unfortunately, this year, because of all the storms and everything that we went through and the challenges that we're facing, we had to raise our millage rate. Our millage rate right now is 9.882, and we need to address that. Going back to the economic development, how do you address it? You spread the tax base out over a larger group of individuals. When I was doing my research for the interview process for the county manager's position, I went over, and Mr. Tim Parker's office was extremely helpful with this. I found out that, who our top 10 taxpayers were in Putnam County. And out of those top 10 taxpayers, 4 of them paid about 20% of the overall ad valorem assessments for Putnam County. Georgia Pacific, Seminole, Florida Power and Light, and Veritas Steel. And just this past week, we learned that Seminole Electric is looking at bringing about a $200+ million project to Putnam County. Change it from a coal fire to a gas facility. About 2-3 months ago, we learned that Georgia Pacific was looking to upgrade their facility for about $450 million. And I also believe that Florida Power Light's project is about $400 million. So that's almost $1 billion of those 3 companies bringing infrastructure into Putnam County. What does that tell me? It tells me that they're going to be here for a long period. They're going to be here for the long haul. We'll be able to not only continue to get the support that we've always had ad valorem-wise from those companies, but also on the job market side. Now, when some of these new facilities come up, technology is going to play a part in that, and it's probably going to cause them to have to downsize some. But the biggest benefit to us is they're not leaving Putnam County. Okay, so that is a huge, huge opportunity for us. Another thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to continue reaching out to our state departments and our federal departments. We got to get grants from USDA every time we can. Water Management District's been very instrumental in helping Putnam County. We've got to reach out to DEP and Economic Development and those folks, EDA. We need to reach out to all of those folks as often as we can for projects to bring those dollars into Putnam County so we can continue doing the things that we need to do to get our roads in better shape, to get our infrastructure, water lines, wastewater lines, and wastewater treatment plants up to speed and up to today's standards, so that we can entice more industry to come in, so we're not taxing them any further than what they already are. When I took over in Pulaski, the biggest thing I heard was our water line infrastructure. $24 to $25 million project. Pulaski doesn't have $24 million, so we're going to have to figure out how to fix that. Okay, well, we've done some of that. We've partnered with the St. Johns River Water Management District for grants, and then we took our monies from our other organizations like our TIF funds, and we married those funds, and we're doing about a $2 million project. So that's huge out of a $24 million budget, or deficit, I should say. So that's very important, and we have to use our dollars as wisely as we can, partner them up with other dollars to get a bigger bang for our buck. Public-private partnerships. That's also going to be very key. We need to continue working, and I want to give a thank you to our elected officials, not only on the state level, but also on the federal level. Bobby Payne is doing an excellent job for Putnam County and Tallahassee. He is our voice. He's our eyes for us up there. He's our ears for us here. He's just doing a fantastic job representing Putnam County and working hard to bring home the bacon, so to speak. Keith Perry is also doing an excellent job, Senator Perry. They have teamed up well with some folks in Tallahassee, and all I see are good things on the horizon for Putnam County. Then on the federal level, we've had Ted Yoho, Congressman Yoho, who has been here several times. I've met with him myself in my office at the City of Plaque. I've met with him in the office in Putnam County. I've been to his office in Washington, D.C. I haven't ever known a congressman so ready to help one particular area, as Congressman Yoho has been for Putnam County. And, we worked with him. I was talking to his staff just this week about some stuff. He is I believe he is the chair of the Southeast Asia market for business, and he's working every day to try to entice businesses to come here to Putnam County. We've got all the industrial property that we need. We just need to invest in it. We need to get it ready. We need to get it zoned properly. We need to get the infrastructure out there. We need to get the shovel ready out there. So when these folks that he's wanting to bring over here, or folks that we want to entice to come here, they have somewhere to go. That's going to be key. That is absolutely key. Another thing is appropriations. I'm going to continue that because Bobby Payne, Representative Payne and Senator Perry have worked very hard. We got a $1 million grant earlier this year, not a grant, an appropriation earlier this year to build a fire station in I believe it was in East Palatka. I was told earlier this week that that project had been on the books since about 2005, but because we finally got some appropriations, it's able to get started now. We also just went through, the county did, where we had some of our fire department agencies rated recently. Satsuma, East Palatka, and Pomona Park Fire Departments, their ISO ratings, which is your insurance-based ratings, went down, which is a good thing. You want the lower number. Anything, it's rating from a 1 to a 10, 10 being the worst. Those fire departments are now, I believe 2 of them are 4s and 1 of them is a 5. So what does that mean? It means if you contact your insurance agent, whether it's a commercial or residential property, and give them that information, there's a pretty good chance you'll get a decrease in your premiums. So that's good news. That's putting that money to work for the citizens of Putnam County. It's not just bringing it home, building a fire station, and just saying we've accomplished something. No, the accomplishment is what we give back in return to our community and our citizens. We got another $1 million, I think, from the Water Management District this year to help clean out, I think it's Dog Branch Creek or something like that. You have to, pardon me, I'm not up on all the geographical locations, Putnam County, but I will be. But those are all things that are very, very important to all the citizens. So those are the things that we've been working on prior to me getting there and since I've been there. So, I see good things on the horizon. I really do. I think we have a good opportunity here to see Putnam County flourish. I inherited, when I got to the city of Palatka, people were concerned about what I was going to do when I got there. What was my management style? Who am I going to get rid of? Who am I going to bring in? You can go back and look when I was with the city of Palatka, I let no one go. And we took the staff that we inherited. We talked to them about family. We talked to them about culture. We talked to them about what changes we wanted to see. And I'm proud to say that anybody I talked to today reminds me of what it was just a short period ago, 2 years ago. And I'm so thankful for the folks that I had there and are still there. I've been very fortunate to have Matt Reynolds, who was born and raised right here in Putnam County, educated at Palatka High School, went off and got his college degree, come back and worked for the city of Palatka now for, I think it's almost 8 years. Been a finance director for probably half of those years. And as soon as I left and went over to the county, they anointed Matt the interim city manager because he's earned that opportunity. And Palatka's in really good hands with Matt Reynolds because I know he's very fiscally conservative and he's very level-headed, which is what it takes to be a city manager. Jonathan Griffith was another one who was born and raised right here, a very young, educated young man who's got great vision for the city of Palatka, and they're working well together. There's a lot of projects going on. You can see stuff happening at the riverfront. Those are all visions that people have brought together, and Jonathan was a big part of that. So I say all that to say that I think the city of Palatka is in great hands moving forward. Okay, I felt like I did my job while I was there as city manager to put people in the right positions and give them the opportunity to do what they do best, and they've done really well with that. So that's exactly what my plan is over at Putnam County. I've inherited a staff of about 600 to 700 people, maybe a little less. But the point is I need to find out what I have there, capitalize on their talents and their skills, and let them do their job. That's the only way that we'll be successful, is to breed that culture over there, is that we all need to be fiscally conservative, do the job best of your abilities and skill sets, and understand that, and be mindful of those that we're serving. I remind them every time when we have a meeting that we work for those 5 elected officials. They pass policy, we implement policy, but we work and serve the citizens of Putnam County. And they need to understand that so they respond in the right way when someone calls. And I can tell you that in my 2.5 weeks there, I have received a phone call from everything from a washed out road to when's my debris going to be picked up, when's the garbage going to be picked up. All those things are near and dear to everybody's heart right now because we got out of our comfort zone. My power went out for probably about a week, and I'm telling you, I was not a happy camper. And it's because we have become creatures of habit. You know, when things get out of whack, we don't respond well. And so my staff has to be able to understand that and know that that person's issue is a serious issue to them, and we need to remember that and respond in a positive way. And no, we can't always jump and run when someone calls us to get something taken care of, but a little kindness, a little understanding, a little response goes a long way. And so far we've been able to do that. And you know, but we got some holes to fill. We really do. Our budget, like I said, 116 million overall, 47 in the general fund, around 1.7%. I'm sorry, 1.7 million in reserves. I can tell you that I've already spent that much in road repair since Hurricane Irma come through. So we've got some issues to deal with. But I believe we're strong. I believe we're very diverse. I believe that we have the ability and we have the right folks leading us on the elected official side of this. And I think we got the right staff to get us through this. So you know, that's what I have for you folks tonight. I know it's kind of short, but again, 2.5 weeks. That's coming in on the end of a hurricane was not probably my best choice. And but you know, I tell you what, I'll share a couple stories with you though, real quick, if I could, about the hurricane. We were sitting in the EOC. It was about, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock the night of the storm. We'd already shut down all emergency services. The winds had gotten too high, the rain had gotten too strong. And so we're sitting in the what we call the war room, and we're trying to figure out, Palatka Healthcare had stopped by earlier that day and said they had an issue. They were starting to flood. They were starting to take on water inside their facility. 175 patients, a lot of them on oxygen or some type of ventilator system, so they needed a power. We could not afford to have that place flooded. So we were in the war room trying to figure out where we're going to move 175 people to, what shelter we could get open and get them to with limited transportation in the middle of a storm. So we're sitting there and the door opens up and Chief Chad Brandt for Putnam Fire Rescue comes in and says, "Where's Mr. Suggs?" And I'm like, "Right here." He goes, "We need you." And so as the city manager at that time, Stacy Manning was the interim county manager. He and I loaded up in the truck. We rode out there, waist deep water for about, I don't know, about 6 hours, and trying to figure out how to get water off of this facility because both the retention ponds had crested and water was already in the front of foyer of the healthcare facility. And we're like, oh no. So about 4 o'clock that morning, we got a bulldozer from FWC out there, and we cut 2 trenches across some county-owned property to get the water off of it. And as soon as we were able to do that, we were able to save the facility. But it took a team effort. It took the city, because we brought resources from the city. It took the county and their resources. It took FWC and their resources for us to make this happen. And today I was at an appreciation luncheon at the healthcare facility because of what we were able to do. They were in dire straits. And you never know what's going to come out of a storm. But we were sitting in the Chief Quinn Romay's vehicle at about 5 o'clock that morning, kind of talking about and debriefing a little bit. And my public works engineer at the county now, my nemesis, Mr. Suggs, he says, you know, I thought we were going to get out here and do some work tonight and do a little team building, but I think this is a little bit ridiculous, you know. But it was a great way for us to bond. You know, it's a great way for us to get an understanding of how we all should work together and put aside the departments, put aside the municipal boundaries, and just get in there and work together. And that's the one thing I preach every day to my folks at the city and at the county is, I understand that we have departments. We have to have departments for a reason because that's, you know, people need to understand where they need to go to get service and all that. But as an employee, we don't need to have boundaries. We don't need to have a silo effect, and we don't need to say, well, that's not my job, that's not my role, that's not my department. Because quite frankly, we all work for the same organization, we're on the same team, and we all serve the same folks, which is Putnam County residents. So that's my philosophy, and it's one that I brought with me because I learned over many years in public service that I've always wanted to treat someone the way I've always wanted to be treated. And I'm going to say something here for my brother tonight. his comment to me when I got appointed, and his first comment to me was, don't forget the golden rule. And for that, you know, I appreciate my brother and for what he's done for me and his leadership and mentoring, because it means a lot. But, you know, in all seriousness, you do public service because you love it. And we didn't choose it for any other reason. We're a family of public servants. I've got a sister who retired from the Department of Corrections as an administrative assistant. Got another brother who retired from the property appraiser's office in Alachua County. My brother Roger is 30 plus years in the system, and myself. So, you know, we did this because we had it in our blood, and we want to do it, and we love what we do, and that's why we're so successful at what we do. And I do believe we are successful. You know, so, and with that, I'll close, and I'll just open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
What's your feeling about privatizing county services where it makes sense?
Well, I would have to, my honest opinion of that is I really would have to take a look and see what the benefit of that would be, because I'm going to tell you, being a municipal manager in a small community where I relied on services from the county, so to speak, whenever you give up the ability to direct services, you lose a little bit of connection. So it would have to be the right scenario and the right reason for a privatization of any type of service. Yes, ma'am.
Why does it cost $1.4 million to pick up the trash?
That we have a contract with a waste hauler for picking up our vegetative debris from the storm, and it's based on cubic yardage. And I can tell you that last week we picked up 18,000 cubic yards, and this week, or 2 weeks ago, 18. Last week a little over 17, and I can't tell you how much we picked up so far this week. But by the time we get through picking up all the cubic yardage and paying those fees, it's going to be $1.4 million, if not more.
How many cubic yards are in the trailer they use?
There's probably about 13 to 15 trailers out there, and they're all different sizes. I do know I have some that are probably 90 cubic yards, and some as small as 40. But it all comes into the facility. There's a monitor, a debris monitor that follows each one of those vehicles to make sure that it's picking up debris that's appropriate debris to be picking up and being delivered to the site for reimbursement. And then when that vehicle arrives at the site, which is the landfill at this point, there's another monitor there with a FEMA representative that looks at the vehicle, makes sure that the calculation of the cubic yardage within the vehicle is correct, and then it's filled out on the paper and it's turned in at the end of the day. And then at the end of the cleanup, we'll apply for reimbursement.
Okay, because it was 1,000 loads, that's $1,000 a load, and I thought that was pretty high.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the size of the vehicles, and it really does. And you know, when I was in Alachua County, when the storms of '04 came through, we picked up over 400,000 cubic yards. I'm not sure how much we're going to get here, but it's going to be a lot. And we've got debris. There's not a road that you can travel down that there's not debris. Yes, sir.
I kind of puzzled, you know, you said you had a man at for each vehicle. Now, I noticed that one man sitting there at each vehicle, I guess he's a county employee, but he does absolutely nothing all day long but sit there. You have a county vehicle, you have a county man doing absolutely nothing, I guess, other than counting the loads that go out.
Okay.
That don't sound like it's good management.
Okay. That is exactly what that individual is required to do. That individual is filling a role that's required by FEMA in order to be able to get our reimbursement. That monitor has to stay with that vehicle everywhere it goes and write down every address that it picks up debris from. That's the only way that we can get our reimbursement back from FEMA. It is a requirement. It's not, the county is not, the county didn't send them out there to spend 8 hours to 10 hours a day sitting in the vehicle. That is a FEMA requirement that we have a monitor follow that truck everywhere it goes. Those hours, the cost of that vehicle, the fuel and everything is reimbursable by FEMA, so all that gets turned in at the end of the cleanup, and we'll apply for reimbursement for that. But that's a FEMA requirement, not a county requirement.
So if we can't count the loads that when it goes to dump,
It-
Or you got a double accounting on it?
I'm sorry, sir.
Double accounting, when they pick up, when they dump, you got to separate people.
Absolutely. There is a monitor in the field and there's a monitor at the site. Again, those are both FEMA requirements to make sure that there is no debris that's picked up anywhere that should not be picked up, that we can get reimbursed. If FEMA was to witness a vehicle picking up debris in an illegal area, and then we put in for reimbursement for it, they're going to pull all of our tickets and do an audit on this, and we may lose all our FEMA reimbursement, and we can't afford to do that. So there's guidelines that FEMA sets out there for us to follow, and it's our responsibility to follow those guidelines. It may seem that it's a waste of county resources, such as employment time and vehicle and fuel, but that's the only way that we can guarantee that we're doing what we're supposed to do for reimbursement. The key is reimbursement. The county is footing the bill up front for the vehicle, the fuel, and the employee. The goal is that when we apply for reimbursement, those dollars are reimbursed to us from FEMA for the cost of that vehicle, fuel, and employee. So if we do our job correctly, we'll get those costs reimbursed.
So it's still a waste of money, you know.
I'm not, yes, sir?
The government.
There you go.
Is there any other questions? Ms. Julian, you got anything?
We had a couple. What are you most excited about in your new position?
Oh, wow. Most excited about the ability to see some positive change in Putnam County. I think we are primed with things that are happening right now with our economic development. I think we're primed for some growth. I think our property values are increasing. That's a great thing. Thank you, Mr. Parker, for that good news. But also, you know, if we do things right, and I have an opportunity here to work with 5 great elected officials and great staff, if we do our job and we do it properly, we'll see the change in Putnam County. We'll see the budget getting a better financial condition. We'll see the reserves increase. We'll see development on the east side of Palaca. We'll see water and sewer lines ran from our East Palaca water plant to those facilities and those new subdivisions that we're hoping that we'll see here in Putnam County. You know, all those things will be a driving force for us to get economically more sustainable. But then hopefully what we'll see from that are people wanting to come to Putnam County, people wanting to retire in Putnam County. You know, I think all that drives many things. It drives our school system, you know. It drives our tax base. It drives our tax dollar, our tourist dollars, you know. The new hotel that popped up on the riverfront, you know, the Hampton Inn, about 4 months after it opened, the occupancy rate was around 60-something%. And so we were at the Chamber of Commerce meeting one day, and we asked a question of Dana Jones, who's the president, said, Dana, does the occupancy rate of the new Hampton, is it pulling from other hotels, you know, are their rates dropping? And the answer was no, their rates were stable. It was just a new hotel, and people wanted to come through Palaca and just stop and stay on the river. That's a positive thing, and that's what I'm hoping we'll see more of.
We had one more submitted, and then I'll turn it back over. Working with such a strict fiscally tight budget, what are the strategies that you're using to make sure that our tax dollars are best spent?
Going back to the original comment about, you know, using our dollars, you know, partnering with other dollars to be able to do more and get a bigger bang for our buck. Also, one of the things we're doing is I'm streamlining the hiring process, the spending process, and things of that nature, because we are fiscally constrained right now. And so I have to do that job as the administrator to kind of slow down the spending. If it can wait a little while, we need to wait a little while, okay? If we don't necessarily have to run out and spend those tax dollars on say, a piece of equipment if what we have will last a little longer. I hate to do that because we all know what repair costs are. But when you're looking at trying to save dollars, you know, for future benefit, we need to look at everything. So we're looking at that. But there's some things I won't do. And one of the things I won't be a proponent of is cutting back on things that are necessary, which are schools and trainings for staff. because it's my belief and my philosophy that if you send someone to a class and all it does is make him or her more efficient and better at their job, there's a return on investment there. And we have to weigh that against the cost. And if it's a positive return on investment, I believe that's necessary, because the more education and the better prepared you are at doing your job, the better you'll be at it, the more efficient we'll be, and the more dollars we'll save in the end.
That's all that was submitted to me. Is there any other questions from the floor?
I
Anything
guess
else
that's
to
it.
tell us?
I actually just thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Hopefully we'll get to see some of you again, and hopefully in a better, when Putnam County is doing better, our roads are a little drier, and maybe our streets are a little cleaner. But anyway, just bear with us. Someone asked me earlier, how would I know when their yard debris is going to be picked up? I said, when you see the vehicle coming, because right now it's everywhere, and that is probably our biggest email that I receive every day, and I get probably 100 emails a day, and most of them are about the hurricane, our roads, or debris and things like that. But just bear with us, folks. We'll get there, I promise you. And when we get through this, we'll be better than what we were. And we'll just keep moving forward, because if I found nothing out when I was doing my research for this position, this is a very diverse community, a very proud community, and a very strong community. And I'm just excited about the opportunity to be here and be a part of it.